Hey, welcome back to the Happy Trekkers channel. My name is Mike, and over the past few years, interest in living abroad has increased dramatically. There are many factors that contribute to this, such as politics, the pandemic, the ability to work from home, the increased cost of living, and more. There are a lot of reasons you may want to explore the expat life as an option. Luckily, there are various alternatives to the US offering sometimes a better quality of life, a lower cost of living, and a safer, more comfortable environment than you may find here in the US. So now let's look at the top 10 best countries for American expats in 2022. Number 10 is Portugal. Portugal is one of the best countries for Americans to move to. Being quite a cheap country in Europe, it maintains almost all the good qualities a country can have. It's the fourth safest country in the world, according to a 2021 Global Peace Index. It has a quality healthcare system. Beside that, the cost of living is quite affordable compared to many countries in Europe, and it's about 30% less than the US. That includes the cost of food, accommodations, and other daily spendings. Another important quality of Portugal is that it has a very mild climate for most of the year, so you can easily adapt to the weather. As an American citizen, you do not need a visa for Portugal for up to 90 days out of every 180. So if you want to move there for a longer duration, you're going to need a residence visa. Portugal offers different types of visas, such as visas for students, self-employed, investors. So there's several ways to gain residency in Portugal. Number 9, Spain. As a neighbor of Portugal, Spain also offers great climate. It's also one of the most affordable countries in Europe. There's a self-employment visa option, so if you're a freelancer or a digital nomad, you can absolutely consider this. Spain also has the Canary Islands. The Canary Islands are to Europe what the Caribbean is to the US. It's where a lot of people go to get away and relax in the sun. We spent a month in Gran Canaria, and I really enjoyed it. I'll put a link in the description and up here. And Spain is also a great place for retirees because there are great coastal cities that offer very tranquil lifestyles and activities for the elderly. Now, if you plan to stay more than 90 days in Spain for study or work purposes, you do need a long-term or long-stay visa. Alternately, Spain also offers a golden visa program like Portugal. Different investment options are available to get a Spanish golden visa. When you fulfill certain requirements, you can also apply for permanent residency and citizenship. Spain is a viable option in this regard because it holds one of the strongest passports in the world. It grants you visa-free travel to 190 countries. Question of the day: what country have you dreamed of moving to and why? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Now, back to the video. Number 8 is Australia. Australia includes diversity in terms of geography and culture. It has beaches as well as the bush and many modern cities within the country, so it really appeals to many people. And also, you won't have any difficulty communicating as a US citizen. Almost everybody speaks English in Australia. In the major cities, there are expat communities as well. Although most Americans opt for cities like Sydney and Melbourne, there are smaller cities that have different benefits, such as Brisbane, I think it's Adelaide, Perth, offer cheaper rents and great scenery. Now, various work visas are available in Australia. They mostly appeal to workers and investors, though. So if you're between 18 and 30, you can also consider the working holiday visa. It allows you to live and travel around the country for a year. The duration of the working holiday visa can be extended up to 3 years if you're doing enough work in the specified industries. The only downside is the distance. It can take up to 30 hours to get to Australia from the US. So other than that, though, it's a great place to live. The cost of living in Australia is similar to that in the US on average. So it's a great place. Number 7 is Uruguay. Being a South American country, the cost of living in Uruguay is about 35% lower than in the US. That's like the basic cost, like rent and food. They're all very affordable, and it offers very nice weather. Great beaches, great food, tasty wines, has a stable economy and a political system. It's also been taking steps to preserve LGBTQ rights and laws, so it has really a lot going for it. In Uruguay, there is also quality medical care, clean drinking water, a good road system. Public transportation is also pretty good, to the extent that if you aren't really going to need a car in some parts, in the bigger cities, obviously. It also provides one of the fastest internet speeds in Latin America. As a U.S. citizen, you can stay in Uruguay for 90 days without a visa. And also note that Spanish is obviously the primary language of Uruguay, so knowing some Spanish is definitely a good idea. You can get by, but the more Spanish you know, the better off you're going to be. Number 6 is Thailand. Now, Thailand appeals to young professionals and entrepreneurs. Many expats prefer Thailand because of its low cost of living. The infrastructure in the country is quite strong. The capital city of Bangkok is home to modern tech hubs while preserving its local and traditional vibes. Like many of the countries that we've listed above, Thailand is also famous for its beaches. If you want to be close to the beaches, check out Phuket. Thanks to the tourism and impact of the expat community, English is not uncommon in Thailand, especially in Bangkok or Chiang Mai. Thailand has a good railway system, so you can easily travel from one place to another to fully experience the country. Now, my friend Greg lives in Chiang Mai and he loves it. So check out the interview I did with him up here, or check for the link in the description for more information, and subscribe to his channel for more information from a day-to-day life of an American living in Thailand. I think he has a lot of great info. I think you'd really like it. Number 5 is Germany. Now, the cost of living varies from city to city. However, it's lower than in the US on average. Other than the cost of living, Germany also offers top education and healthcare systems, along with a very stable economy. Furthermore, working hours are relatively short, so you can have a really good work-life balance when you move to Germany. And the crime is very low. Now, around 50% of the people in Germany speak English. However, learning some basic German is really going to help you with the bureaucracy. On the other hand, there's more than 100,000 Americans living in Germany, so you can easily find an expat community, especially if you live in one of the bigger cities. As an American citizen, you can enter Germany with a 3-month visa. If you wish to stay more, you'll need to follow some certain procedures. Now, residency in Germany can be obtained by studying, employment, or investing. So you'll be required to maintain some financial stability, and the country does expect you to assimilate into the culture, and proficiency in German language and registering for some integration courses are required. Now, my friends Ben and Mallory moved to Munich last year, and my interview with him was really interesting. Check it out with the link in the description, or again up here. Number 4 is the Czech Republic. Now, the cost of living there is half the cost of New York City. So the country mostly appeals to young professionals and freelancers and students. It's a really cheap country to live in compared to the United States. Its capital is Prague, and it's also one of the most visited cities in all of Europe. It's relatively easy to get a visa or a work permit. There's a freelance visa that makes it really easy to move and work around the country. And for this, you need to provide proof of funds, but it's only around $5,500. So as a digital nomad or an entrepreneur, you can really benefit from this. Now, if you're not living in Prague, you might experience a little bit of a language barrier. So it's essential that you learn some Czech. But for your visa appointments and your accommodation issues, it's probably helpful that you know the language. Number 3 is Montenegro. Now, the cost of living in Montenegro is half the cost of living in the US. Around 40% of the population speaks English, and you can find them more at the tourist locations, though. It offers amazing weather and a great landscape with its rugged mountains and medieval cities. It has a great coastline around the Adriatic Sea. Now, your options to gain temporary residency are buying a home or starting a business and hiring yourself as an employee. After a 5-year period, you can become a permanent resident. An additional 5 more years will grant you citizenship as well. So Montenegro keeps popping up more and more in my research, and I really need to get over there and check this out. Number 2 is Canada. Oh, Canada, our trusted neighbor to the north. Around 85% of the population in Canada speaks English, and the country appeals to people in the workforce. Not to mention that it has a stable social healthcare system. It has high quality of life, probably the highest in the Americas, and cities like Toronto and Vancouver and Calgary are considered some of the most livable cities in the world. For a work visa, you need to get a job offer if you've not been a student in the last 12 months. It's also important to note that the country welcomes diversity and inclusivity. In fact, marginalized people in the US have started to move to Canada for this reason. So Canada should definitely be included in your list of the best countries to move to. And number 1 is Mexico. Now, over the last few election cycles, people have threatened to move to Canada. But in reality, where they've really moved is Mexico. Around 1 million Americans have moved there, and why not? It's cheaper, it's warmer, and the food is amazing. The cost of living in Mexico is around half that of the United States. And in tourist places like Cancun and Cabo, you can find English-speaking people fairly easily. Now, you want to brush up on some of your Spanish. It's definitely going to help you, but English is not uncommon. As an American citizen, you'll obtain a renewable 6-month tourist visa when you arrive. It's also easy to apply for residency. If you want to apply for a temporary residency, you only need to prove that you've gained about $2,000 each month within the last 6 months. Now, that number does change because it is tied to the minimum wage in Mexico, but right now it's around $2,000. You can renew the visa for 4 years, and after this, you can become a permanent resident. Mexico offers great diversity in landscape. It has great beaches, it has great mountains. It's all waiting for you there. And also, expats are kind of throughout the entire country. So if you're a retiree, maybe Merida or Puerto Vallarta would be a place you might want to consider. If you prefer a more urban environment, Mexico City is one of the world's great cities. The largest drawback in the country is the high crime rate. There's no denying this. However, you can find safe areas to live, and it needs to be viewed city by city, just like we do here in the US. In fact, Merida, down in the Yucatan, is the second safest city in all of North America. Now, we spent a month down there, and we really liked it. So check out our videos here or in the description from Merida. I think you'd really like it. Hey, I really hope you liked that video. Have you ever visited any of the countries I mentioned? Have you thought about moving there? Let me know in the comments. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you ring the bell so you are notified every time we drop a new video. Until we talk again, keep on trekking.